I'm honestly not sure if they.
Hi, my name is Amanda. I know you will think that I'm complaining about first world problems, but believe me, it's nothing like that. My parents are so cruel. They are super rich and yet refuse to give me even a dime. You see, growing up, I knew my mom and dad were wealthy, but they didn't let me know the real extent of it. My parents had founded a multi-million-dollar business before I was even born and then bought more and more companies. They were swimming in money, and they had so many properties I didn't even know about when I was a kid. When I was a kid, my parents bought me everything I wanted and even more. I was a bit spoiled, sure, but most of the things they got for me I didn't even ask for. They would arrive home with lots of gifts, and my closet was always filled with new clothes. They would also take me on lavish vacations to these incredible places. Honestly, I couldn't even pronounce the names of some of those countries back then. Still, I loved traveling all around the world, and I had so much fun with my mom and dad, going on all kinds of amazing adventures. Things started to change, though, when I entered puberty. Every year, they would buy me fewer and fewer things. They'd only give me something for my birthday and then a few spare clothes or stuff like that during the rest of the year. It was so odd, and I didn't understand it. They told me I needed to get a job. I didn't understand this since they had so much money and they could afford to let me have nice things. I just thought they were joking, but I was in for a big surprise. When I turned 15, I went shopping for new clothes, and my card was actually declined. I was shocked since I hadn't spent much that month and my allowance was over $1,000 a week. I figured it was some kind of mistake, and so I checked my bank app. To my shock, all the money was gone. At first, I thought it was some kind of fraud and someone had stolen my money, but then I realized it had been transferred back to my parents' account. Imagine how mad I was. I couldn't believe mom and dad had done that to me, and without even letting me know beforehand. Did they really expect me to support myself as a teenager? I was just 15, and that wasn't fair at all. So I rushed back home and confronted my parents, screaming at them for what they did to me. I felt betrayed and humiliated and couldn't understand why they were being so cruel. Much to my surprise, they didn't apologize or even try to negotiate with me. They explained that I was completely cut off and that they weren't going to give me another cent. Mom said they wanted me to learn the value of money and that I needed to be self-reliant. I was floored. I replied that I was still too young to work, and even if I did get a part-time job, it wouldn't be enough to support myself. They didn't really care. They told me I would need to learn how important hard work was, and I would need to pay for everything. So if I wanted to eat dinner, I had to pay for it myself, and I'd also be taking care of my own bills. My clothes, my cell phone, my car, everything I wanted to have, I would have to pay for it myself. They took away my car and told me I'd have to make weekly payments on it to keep it, as well as pay for gas and any other expense. I even had to pay for the insurance. I was in tears by the time this conversation ended. They were being irrational. They didn't just expect me to pay for a few things and make an effort, they actually wanted me to be completely independent. Dad told me that he had come from nothing and built an empire from scratch, so now it was my turn to do the same. I told him he was insane and that I was just 15. I didn't think I was even old enough for anyone to employ me at all. My parents didn't even offer me a job at their company. They explained I needed to find my own way in life and that I would have to get a job all on my own. I was really freaking out and refused to talk to them after this. I've been looking for jobs, but no one is hiring someone as young as I am. My parents are being cheap for no good reason. It's like they actually want me to starve. I feel like they got tired of having a child and they want to get rid of me or something. Most nights, I end up having dinner at my friend's house since my mom and dad even expect me to pay for my own food. I'm so mad and disappointed in them that I don't even want to go back home at all. I'm turning 16 in a week and I plan on getting a job as soon as possible. I want nothing but to become independent and not rely on my parents another day. When I move out and go to college, I know I will never go back to their home. My parents and I haven't been talking a lot lately. In fact, I only reply to their questions with short answers and try to avoid them as much as possible. I can't believe my mom and dad could do something like this to me, and I'm still in shock that they could be so uncaring. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted more than anyone else in the world? Please let us know in the comments. I'd really appreciate some advice on how to deal with this situation. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and check out other videos on the channel. Hi, I'm Allison, and I was born with half a face. I know it sounds insane, and I wish I was making this up because my life hasn't been easy. My mom got pregnant with me after trying to have a child for years. My parents underwent several fertility treatments, so you can imagine their joy when the doctor finally gave them the good news. My parents were so happy to learn that they were going to get a baby girl. The problem was that as I began to develop facial features in the womb, the doctors began noticing something was off about me. Each ultrasound they conducted showed some strange features, and at first they figured it must be a problem with the machine. So they kept on repeating the test over and over again with different technicians and different equipment. No matter how many times they repeated the ultrasound, my face looked the same. Half of it wasn't there at all. They didn't know how to tell my mom about it since it was a condition they had never seen before. They conducted several other tests, and when they were sure that it wasn't some kind of odd mistake, they finally sat my parents down and let them know the terrible truth. Their baby girl would be born with only half a face. My mom and dad sat there completely stunned. They couldn't believe anything like that could actually happen. Imagine how worried they were. Could a baby be healthy with only half her face, half her head, and half her brain? They were freaking out, and when I was finally born, Mom was convinced I would slip away all too soon. She was so sad and couldn't stop crying. She told me later on that she wouldn't let go of me, thinking those were the first and final minutes she'd get to spend with me. Surprisingly, not only did I survive, but I was a healthy baby girl. I only had a single eye, half a nose, half of my lips. Well, half everything. The doctors told my mom I had to undergo an MRI to check my brain, and they were surprised to see that even though I only had half of it, it worked perfectly well, and all functions were unaffected. Mom was so relieved, she couldn't stop crying. She called me her little miracle baby. She didn't care if I looked odd. She loved me with all her heart. Admittedly, Dad struggled a bit with my condition at first, but after a while, he understood that my looks didn't matter. I was a happy, sweet baby, and he adored me with all his heart. So yeah, my parents were pretty awesome. They were super supportive and kind toward me, raising me the best they could. As a child, I didn't notice I was odd looking. After all, I was a kid. I figured there were plenty of people who looked just like I did. Mom and Dad supported me fully, so I always felt loved. Mom and Dad sometimes got worried I wouldn't get to do certain things little girls do, but I proved them wrong every time. I could eat like a normal kid, munching on one side only, and I saw the world around me with no problem, crawling at first and then running around as if I had two eyes. The doctors were incredibly impressed by my development, and I think there were a few medical articles written about me. I don't really mind. If it helps a baby born with my condition have a better life, I'm more than happy to be studied. The problem began when I began growing up. I noticed people stared and pointed at me on the street, and other kids refused to play with me. I didn't understand what was going on. In my mind, I was perfectly normal. Clearly, I wasn't. Mom and Dad tried to get me to go to a normal school. For a few years, I did just that. I was really young and suffered from intense and relentless bullying every single day. I would cry in my mom's arms every night. It was heartbreaking. I couldn't understand why my classmates didn't want to be my friends. Eventually, mom decided it was too much of a struggle for me to keep going to school. So I was removed from the classrooms and was homeschooled. I graduated with honors, earning nothing but A's. You might think that happened because my mom was the teacher, but she doesn't supervise or grade the state mandated exams. It took me a long time to accept the way I looked, and even longer to understand that if people stared, I should simply ignore them. It hurt to be mocked and ridiculed, but I'm a strong young woman and refuse to give up on life simply because people are prejudiced. After graduating, I decided to apply for medical school. I wanted to be a doctor to help people suffering from strange diseases and medical conditions. My application explained the struggles I lived through my entire life and how I overcame every single obstacle that got in my way. It seemed to impress the application board because I was admitted at once and even offered a scholarship. I am doing amazingly in college. For the first time in my life, I actually managed to make friends, so I can honestly say that these were the happiest years of my life. The moment I graduate, I'm determined to use my knowledge and experience to help people overcome their conditions and lead happy, fulfilling lives. Thank you for watching. Have you ever been bullied into abandoning an activity you enjoyed? Let
Hi, I'm Nathan. When I was younger, my first brush with technology was my dad's PlayStation 3. We used to play that every day after school, and every time he would beat me. That match of technology, gaming, and my young mind was like an electrical connection. My brain completely switched, and all I wanted to do from then on was learn more about gaming and how it was made. It was on my 10th birthday that my father enrolled me in a summer program at our local college. Youth and Technology was what it was called, and for me, it was a gateway to another dimension. Having the latest tech and software made the camp appealing, but the course out into the city to meet with executives who wanted to outright buy my game. 1 hour later, back and forth negotiation and an exciting round of hand.
I'm addicted to having kids. Have you ever met a woman who really loves babies and all things related to pregnancy? Well, that's me. If you take that love to the extreme, I not only adore the idea of being
I have a boyfriend and girlfriend. They are related. Hi, my name is Dylan, and I'm actually dating a pair of siblings. I know it sounds super weird, but hear me out. I have always liked both men and women equally, and I feel comfortable with who I am. So it's not like I ever hid that fact about myself. It all started when I was 17 and a senior at high school. That's when I realized I liked boys, and I didn't want to hide this fact, even if I had a girlfriend. Her name was Sophie, and when I let her know about it, she was cool with it. That was great, and I felt